Hello everyone, and welcome to today's edition of Magazines Canada's ad webinars called Advertising's on the Move, Mobile in a Cross-Screen World, and featuring industry expert Dana Toering, who's the Managing Director for Canada at TubeMogul, which is an enterprise software solution for brand advertising. Over the course of today's one-hour webinar, we'll look at how software can help you execute your mobile ad strategy, making it easier for you to implement and measure, and more effective for your advertisers. It's my pleasure to welcome our presenter and expert on all things mobile, Dana Toering. Dana is, as I mentioned, Managing Director for Canada at TubeMogul, but also we can announce in 2 days, he will be the head of Adobe Advertising Cloud Canada, which is a platform for managing advertising across traditional TV and digital formats. This comes about as a result of an acquisition, and Dana is stepping into the role to head up that division for Canada. He brings over 15 years of experience to today's discussion. He was most recently the Chief Revenue Officer for Addictive Mobility, and prior to that, Head of Revenue at AOL Canada, and has had senior roles at both Yahoo and DoubleClick. So really understands the idea of driving revenue through digital. Dana was a board member with the IAB and sits on multiple advisory boards, including Flixel and TEL. You'll no doubt have questions for Dana, and you'll be able to do so throughout the presentation. And we've allotted some time also for Q&A at the end. If questions come to mind as Dana is speaking, please type them into the chat box that appears on the screen. Where there's a natural opening in the presentation, I'll read your questions aloud, and Dana will have an opportunity to respond. And as I said, we'll open up for questions again at the end. Just a little bit about me, your moderator. I'm a longtime magazine publisher and consultant, specializing in helping magazines, media companies engage audiences and drive revenue through print and digital strategies. With no further ado, let's turn this over to Dana to talk about advertising in a mobile environment.
All right, great. Thank you so much. And it's great to be here. As mentioned, definitely want this to be as collaborative as possible. There's a lot of detail in the slides that I'm going to present, and I think what I just wanted to preface the content with is just to say that, feel free to stop, ask questions anytime. Be great to have more of a dialogue than just a one-way. This presentation is really coming to you from the point of view of an advertiser. And so hopefully that's helpful. We're going to try and connect the dots to you as publisher. So please, feel free to interject and ask questions at any time as relevant. Again, it also comes to you as, part of this is some, very high-level industry information, but there will also be some information that's very specific to our technology platform in particular. That we've just tried to make as objective as possible, but there's things that we can do that not everyone can. So very happy to be here. I think we live in very interesting times where things are changing at an incredibly rapid pace. There has been more change and fragmentation in the media space in the last 3 years than there has been in the last 30 years. Sorry, let's just go back one slide. Yeah, there we go. So consumer behaviors are changing really as the proliferation of devices continues. And as marketers, what we previously thought about the first screen and second screen is no longer really relevant. Marketers need to develop a truly cross-screen and cross-channel approach to reach audiences in their always-on environments. Advertisers can and should rely on technology to more efficiently and effectively deal with fragmentation, to deal with big data, and to deal with performance measurement to address today's cross-screen marketing challenges. So in this session, we'll talk about mobile's critical role in a cross-screen strategy and levers you can pull to ensure, you as advertiser can pull to ensure that your mobile campaigns are successful. Again, this is really coming at it from a cross-screen perspective. Something to note on this slide is that, as complicated and sort of muddled as this looks, what we know is that this is as easy as it's going to get. So we can all assume that this fragmentation, this proliferation of screens is going to continue at a pretty significant pace, and that as advertisers, that will continue to be quite challenging for us to effectively reach our advertisers based on these the behaviors driven by consumers. So, a question we get all the time is what took so long in mobile? Why? The mobile device has been around a long time. There's a very drawn out industry phrase about when was the year of mobile. The fact of the matter is like mobile advertising has really been an evolution. And like with anything, as audiences have migrated to mobile devices, the medium has progressed. So one of the big things and one of the big challenges that has more recently been overcome was the evolution of video creative standards and just creative standards in general for mobile. One of the big challenges in mobile was that both standards as well as measurements were very challenging, and that made it very challenging for advertisers to fully take advantage of the medium. Now, that's not to say that all those challenges have been overcome. It's still pretty early stage. If you think about it, the iPhone is actually only 10 years old. So these are still very early days in mobile. But what we're seeing is more of a standardization of formats that's going to make it a heck of a lot easier for publishers to take advantage of the revenue opportunities that mobile presents. So moving on, the next slide just shows sort of the that evolution as VAST really and VPay.js has really taken over and been able to create a more unified standard. VPay.js is really where the future will be in this but VAST is obviously is a format and a creative standard that is sort of excelling past all formats.
Dana, for people who may not be familiar with those acronyms, can you just explain a little bit the differences and what they mean, VAST versus VPay?
Yeah, so it's basic. VAST is just simple execution, and you get very limited metrics, whereas VPay is more interactive execution, and you get more of ability to detect fraud, apply brand safety, and have just richer measurement, including statistics like viewability, which for a platform like ours that was built for brand advertisers, the video medium has been a real driver of our business, and the ability to measure when an individual actually sees your ad has been super important. So VPay allows you to do that. Okay. Yeah. So moving on, the growth obviously in mobile is, as I mentioned off the top, has been the real driver. Mobile is where media consumption is happening, and that's why we're here. So the first slide on your left, shows how mobile has grown and overtaken desktop, and is really accounting for about 60% of total digital time spent. These are U.S. statistics, by the way, and we'll get into some Canadian statistics shortly. But roughly over the past 2 years, total digital media consumption has grown 49% in the U.S., and time spent in mobile apps and mobile browsers has significantly contributed to the shift. So in 2006, mobile overtook time spent on desktop and accounted for 62% of total digital time spent. There's no doubt in anyone's mind that mobile is where media consumption is happening at scale. So on the right-hand side, the second data point, you can see where this consumption is happening. So zooming in mobile app time spent, these are where these mobile users are spending the majority of their time, is it? For the most part, that's what we see. We see users spending most of their time around social networks, video games, and messaging apps. And these are areas where advertisers can access, again, thinking about that complexity as an advertiser, also as a publisher to actually distribute ads, but there is ways that software can allow advertisers to access programmatically those eyeballs, especially when it comes to social. So moving on. So here's some Canadian statistics. On the left, again, you see growth in media time spent. So mobile, in Canada, it's about 27.3% of total media time spent on mobile in 2017. Then again, on the right, pretty closely mimics where that time is being spent. Specifically, this is around mobile app time spent. So you can see music, media, and entertainment, messaging and social taking up a big chunk. Lifestyle shopping, games, sports, health, fitness, and then utilities and productivity. So pretty good, well-rounded usage across a bunch of different types of applications.
Just a question at the bottom of that. It says news and magazines, so there's a slice there related to publishers on the right-hand side of the mobile app.
Where's that, sorry?
So share of mobile app time spent. So
yes.
The very bottom, news and magazines.
All right. Yeah.
Do you have any sense of what that might be?
I mean, I just, it's probably, those are applications,
larger
right?
Publisher applications,
yeah, so those
right.
are large publishers. So, and I think in Canada that would be, your Globe and Mails and Toronto Stars and others. Most of these statistics actually you can find online. Okay. If you wanted to dig at a more granular level into that, but it would be it would be apps specific to news and magazine titles, right. That are accessible through either Google Play or the App Store.
And this is through eMarketer Canada. So
these are eMarketer statistics.
We could
correct.
dig in a bit deeper there.
Yeah.
Okay, thanks.
So again, one of the things our company has been very focused on is video. In the mobile space, this is where a ton of the growth has been from an advertiser purchase perspective, a spend perspective. So nearly half of all video plays, and this was 2016 data, in Q2 were on tablets and smartphones. So a massive amounts of eyeballs, not only going to read, but when they're there, and you think about it based on the nature of the device and when you're actually consuming media. It could be in transit, could be when you're doing your commute, could be when you're waiting in the doctor's office. There's just a ton of media consumption going on your mobile device. We actually track when videos are watched and how media is consumed, and it's interesting to see those trends based on an individual's Monday to Friday routine. Because if you think about it, most individuals have a pretty similar routine, day in, day out, Monday to Friday. Obviously, that's going to vary on the weekends, but their media consumption habits and how we see those by watching and analyzing mobile data are very interesting. So the consumption and the number of people using mobile devices is obviously going to continue to grow. So as a publisher, and as an advertiser, it's even more important than ever to be where the audiences are. So Walla, who's a technology partner of ours, they have a video index. This is where these statistics come from. They say, again, 51% of all video plays in Q2 2016 were on mobile devices, and 55% of content watched were between 0 to 5 minutes. So short, snackable type content that they're able to watch while they're moving around. So It's good to know that mobile is a very unique medium. Again, it's an incredible technology. It's not TV. It's not desktop. So it's incredible, offers very unique advertising opportunities. So I think for publishers, they should always keep that in mind. The multi-sensory nature of a mobile device is very interesting from an advertising perspective. You have sight sound motion. You have deep linking capabilities. You have location-based capabilities. You have sensory capabilities like touch. So very, very different. Some of the key ones to think about, like what makes mobile unique are just, again, those many elements that make make it unique from a user perspective and also from an advertiser's perspective. So mobile devices are personal and always on. That's something we all know. I think we have them with us at all times. I think in Canada, the statistic is 83% of the population now have smartphones, and they take their devices with them everywhere we go. This means, again, for advertisers, the opportunities to connect with their audience throughout the entire day. What we know is mobile audiences are incredibly engaged users. They're really what we would call lean-in audiences. They're engaged with the content they're reading or tasks they're performing in a way that other mediums can't provide, again, due to the personal nature. As a result, statistics like click-through rates on mobile are sometimes as high as 14x compared to a similar execution that would be performed on a desktop. That actual source, by the way, was a vertical video case study, which we'll look at a little later. Again, highly viewable because of its viewing environment, because of the screen size and everything. The executions in mobile are incredibly highly viewable medium. It's not like a web page where there could be 5 or 6 different brands represented. Usually it's 100% share of voice. There's really no notion of tabbing, and a large part of both video and display inventory in mobile runs on full screen interstitials. So it's really taken up the entire attention of those users. And then obviously, as I mentioned, it's a new and evolving ad experience. This is new technology. So there's constantly new experience being created. For our part, we actually, we are a technology company, but we created a creative arm of our business simply to address the void in the space in mobile. So we actually had a team of 25 people that had an innovation lab around creating great mobile experiences for our advertisers. It's just not something that can be necessarily done at scale. So I guess a good equivalent would be, standard ad units to what we do in the print space, and even digitally in magazines, more branded content. You can have really rich, immersive, multi-sensory mobile ad experiences that are very different from just your standard small little banner ad that you might see from some mobile advertising.
So Dana, in that respect, are you essentially competing with advertising creative agencies?
Not necessarily. What we generally do will repurpose the creative work and the creative ideas and use those elements to fit that creative storytelling to the medium. Because again, based on the technical nature and the opportunity with devices, like sometimes, what happens, and that's why, this slide is mobile is not TV or desktops, like you can't just repurpose that 30-second ad for mobile, right? There's that 0 to 5 second window of attention that you potentially, have, right? Like YouTube's a great example. They allow you to skip after 5 seconds, right? There's a reason for that. They've done a lot of measurement around that attention span. So it's not, absolutely not. To be honest, most clients that do use our creative services come to us just, again, purposely for advice. Can you repurpose this? Can you make this more, more interesting and more impactful for the medium than, can you create something for me? Because that's not what we do. If we didn't have to have a team of creative, and they hate if I said this, but I'm going to say it anyways, we probably wouldn't, right? It's really a necessity based on just the evolving tech. And then obviously there's, new and emerging things like Snapchat, right, which, obviously the biggest one based on the recent IPO, but that's a whole other experience that's going on in there where, brands even give the creative ability over to their audiences, which is, we won't get too deep into that today. So, moving on. So mobile first and cross-screen strategy. So when we think mobile first, we also think cross-screen, right? So as much as, there's a enormous amount of time being spent on mobile devices, we truly believe, again, based on that fragmentation and where individuals are consuming media, that you really, you want to have a mobile-first mindset, but you also want to be thinking cross-screen. So as I mentioned, it's because it's just not going to get any easier. So, to help advertisers effectively reach their mobile audiences while also taking into account your overall advertising strategy, we advise advertisers to leverage platforms like ours for its mobile-first tools and cross-screen capabilities. So those include things like comprehensive inventory access. So, if you saw that app distribution slide, if I want to reach I've downloaded the Canadian Living app on my phone. I've downloaded the Globe and Mail's app. I'm spending a lot of time chatting with my friends on Facebook and, newly sort of, experimenting with what Snapchat is. How, can you effectively reach your entire audience and not oversaturate one individual with a ton of ads and just do it effectively? That's the idea. Software can help you do that, right? And that's sort of one of the pieces that we do. So just being able to, wherever there are large mobile audiences, being able to connect to those audiences. Being able to apply mobile-first targeting, so using mobile-specific data such as app names, real-time location to reach real optimal users. Being able to apply unique user and third-party data on social channels like Facebook and Instagram, very important. Again, that's the real promise of when we talk about programmatic is not just the automation, but also the application of data. Having transparent and holistic measurement suite, again, that was one of traditionally the biggest challenges for advertisers about shifting money to the mobile space has been in the measurement, being able to effectively measure it. So, and having a holistic measurement suite, so being able to see it not just for your mobile campaign, but across your entire ad spend as an advertiser, right? So if I'm choosing to spend my $100,000 and my media mix dictates that some of that's going to go to my print partner, both with their digital footprint as well as the print footprint, and that some of that is going to to desktop, and some of that is going to television. Again, being able to bring that all back and measure it, look at it, understand the ROI in one place. That again brings around the promise of how software can make something that's quite complicated currently and make it really easy.
So Dana, in this case, so your customer base for the software are the brand advertisers who are using this as a tool to better manage their marketing.
Yeah, absolutely. So it's brand advertisers and agencies. So we work with both, and most of the time we work with both sort of interchangeably. What's happening, a lot more these days is, and it's just the nature of what the software allows brands to do is brands want to own their data. They want to get closer to their data. They want to know their customers better. They've always had access to a lot of customer data, but potentially that customer data wasn't actionable. They weren't able to do anything with it, either from like a personalization point of view on their website or from how they're actually, and across their entire spectrum of opportunities to engage with a customer. Like, how can I best engage with that customer, and how can I know my customer when he's there and give them the experience that they deserve, and that's going to be the most effective and the most rewarding both for the customer and for the brand. So with real sophisticated data management platforms evolving that are enterprise based, other tools and other platforms like media management and analytics and personalization and CRM. Those are all kind of shifted to more of a marketing team and innovation team led decision making. They just want to take some of it in-house. And again, but a lot of the time still, there, in most cases, agencies playing a critical role in continuing to work on strategy and planning, analysis, execution, rinse and repeat. The only difference being that they're not mediating the technology enterprise relationships, right? The brands just want to own those relationships because they want to own their own data. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you. So moving on. One of the things, again, there's always challenges, and when we talk cross-screen, there's always challenges in doing that. We talked a bit about this before, but for video delivery, one of those challenges was across all screen was like, how do we seamlessly deliver ads across desktop and mobile? How do we combat some of the flash content blocking by Chrome and Safari? That's not as much of a challenge anymore. Open up more mobile interactive video inventory, enable fraud and brand safety solutions. I just wanted to highlight this because, again, just highlighting some of the complexities that advertisers face when they're looking to spend their budgets in mobile and thinking about it from a truly cross-screen perspective.
We have a question from the audience. What are your standards for what's counted as an ad in view?
We follow the MRC standards. So I think the average industry standard is 50% of the ads and 2 seconds of exposure. So we have actually, and that's a great question. And again, this is where software can help make something like standards easier because their standards vary. MRC has their standards, the IAB has their standards, and actually there are some, and most notably, one of the largest agency holding companies in the world has their own standard. Like they have a custom standard that is actually even more aggressive than some of the industry organizations. So what we've done is actually aggregated all those standards into our tech. So depending on the advertiser you're working with and the publishers you're working with, you can apply, as an advertiser, you can apply whatever standard you want to measure against and apply that to your campaign. So we're not saying one is better than the other one's right with the other. We're like, okay, well, since there's not one standard to rule them all, we're going to provide those advertisers with the opportunity to apply whatever standard they need to that specific ad campaign. So hopefully that answers the member's question. So moving on, one of the things again is talking about solving complexities was the delivery challenges and then also measurement channels. So this goes to viewability. So measure viewability according to the MRC standard using debated JavaScript. We also, again, you can do that, or you can choose, the other ones that we mentioned. So we want to measure viewability effectiveness, also being able to apply third-party viewability measures. Leverage IES and Moat third-party viewability measurement on mobile. So these are, some third parties. Again, so not just one standard, not just one company. If you want to use IES, if you want to Moat. We've also actually integrated White Ops into our platform. There's all these third parties that basically help advertisers, they become impartial to the platform, dictating measurement. So you want to try and be as impartial as possible. So again, you're giving the best. You're not grading your own homework. And again, all of these was arrived because advertisers were struggling with execution and measurement in mobile. Again, software allows you to sort of integrate these different technologies and then executes at something in one platform. So mobile first. we're just going to walk through, our TubeMogul / Adobe's mobile first tools and how you can best use them on your mobile campaigns. And this is specifically coming from an advertiser's perspective. We won't spend a ton of time here because I know we're already at the halfway mark, but I think it would be, worthwhile to, again, to understand from an advertiser's point of view how they approach this. So if we go back to what services users spend time on their mobile devices, so, social, mobile, gaming, we got to think, most of their time they are spending, they actually are accessible programmatically. So again, that word means a lot of things to a lot of people. I just want to reiterate, like, the way we think of it as a platform built for brand advertisers is really around automation and data application. So all the complexities and challenges that we talked about, now you obviously are be able to reach your audiences, if they're on your app, through software, and they can deliver that, and they can know when that individual or know what phase of their day they're in, where they'd be more likely to interact with that ad, or and as one of the case studies we had, even help drive foot traffic into your business. So the next step, messaging apps. There's different phases of the evolution of the internet, and we're sort of in this app phase right now. So, we like to refer to that as sort of the new social network are these messaging apps, right? That have risen, have really sort of grown, and Facebook's Messenger being one of them, Kik, and obviously Snapchat being the biggest one, Instagram. So 4 of the top 6 apps by usage are actually messaging apps. All right, so think about that. Think of the millions of apps that are created. Like 4 of the top 6 are actually messaging apps. So messaging apps are taking over 3 billion monthly active users, roughly, globally. There's 257 billion messages sent daily. There are 2 billion photos shared daily. This is all, by the way, this is from an article from Lifehacker. It's about, so 2 billion photos shared daily. And there's, these include, it's not just about GIFs and emojis and everything like that, but it's also about bots, right? It's where millennials and sort of this Gen Z generation are socializing and potentially even shopping, and who knows what's next. But there's a massive industry growing up around apps. I think if you, for publishers, if you go on Snapchat right now and you go to their stories, you can see how publishers are taking advantage of the audiences that are there right now and their unique mobile experiences that they're creating. It's pretty phenomenal stuff. So, moving on, again, a software's goal in this entire equation, as I talked about off the top, is to solve the fragmentation for the advertisers. And we start this by providing comprehensive access to all mobile inventory sources. So, we were talking off the top about, if you look here, you can see there's some media brands in there. Platforms like ours have massive scale across all channels. For us in particular, we see about 24 billion daily mobile video and display options. Right? We have view into that daily. So instead of using different processes for an advertiser, instead of using different platforms to stitch mobile ad buys, with a platform like ours, you can access cross-screen exchanges, mobile-specific exchanges. You can connect to premium publishers, and then most importantly, based on all the statistics we've seen today, you can connect to social inventory such as Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Snapchat, etc. So as we know, these social networks have this massive scale and have huge user bases. Facebook is one of our biggest is our biggest partner. It's just become an enormous video platform. Facebook video became a powerhouse in 2015, and they've come back on some of the measurement around their video views, but the most recent stat we had as of November last year, its users had viewed 8 billion. They were viewing 8 billion videos per day, and that had doubled from April 2015. So just an enormous scale in video viewership. Instagram and Snapchat have also added more video if you go onto those applications over the course of the year. And again, what the software allows you to do is consolidate all your buys in a central platform. So how does this apply to a small magazine publisher potentially that doesn't have 5 billion users like Facebook? Why is that important? And where some people get caught up is in the exchange and what they hear around buzzwords like real-time bidding, which is just, it's part of it, right? There are exchanges out there, and there's some that are very effective at reaching audiences at scale. But for publishers, and especially small publishers, this is what programmatic and what software allows you to do is just connect to your buyers in the way they want to buy, right? At its basic form. So if I want to buy from you by sending you a fax, I'll do that. If I want to buy from you by walking down the street to your office, going into your office and signing an IO, I'll do that too. If I want to connect to you through digital channels, right, based on pre-negotiated pricing that we have, so I'm not diluting your inventory, your digital inventory, mobile inventory, not just setting floor prices and hoping you get really attractive bids based on the richness of your audience, but I have a deal with brand X, or they're a very steady client of mine. They get a lot of return on investment by buying on my publication. I'm just going to set up that connection digitally, right? And so buyers can very easily just add me to the buy. And that is something that I think sometimes gets overlooked and maybe sometimes gets confused and scares some premium publishers that potentially have smaller audiences away from what software can do. My advice would be, as we talked about before as well, would be, think about who your top 10 advertisers are, and then maybe your top 10 prospects, and go talk to them about how they're buying, especially when it comes to digital, and if they're leveraging software to do, from a media management perspective, to purchase. And if they are, like, how can we connect? And again, that's all it is connecting. One of the things, our platform's independent, meaning we don't run a sort of a supply side business. We just purely have the best interest of advertisers at heart. So what we do is just make those connections to brands. We don't make money off that at all. All we're doing is connecting buyers to sellers. So that's just a little context on that I thought was relevant for the audience. Another thing to consider is software allows, again, as we talked about, is to access all mobile channels, so video, display, social, and native. So it's, again, not just standard ads, but it's across the board. You can really maximize the impact of your ad as an advertiser. As we talked about, it's important to build an experience that is relevant to each environment. So examples we have here around, vertical videos. A TV or widescreen video can be turned into full-screen portrait video, like, again, through some creative handiwork. It's really best used for running in social channels like Snapchat, where they're all about social video. Somehow it's become like a lot of work just to tip your phone sideways, so I guess vertical is the wave of the future, but it does. I mean, the actual performance of vertical video is pretty phenomenal. Display interstitials, which are a bit more intrusive, but again, like, highly impactful. And then, dynamic ads that take advantage of all the, multi-sensory capabilities of the phone, be it, movement, 360 video, what have you. As well, data application. And from a mobile perspective, this is very important because there's just a ton of data when it comes to mobile. Especially, apps collect an incredible amount of data, both, they would call deterministic and non-deterministic. So, login data and then just, inferred data. Using mobile-specific signals and data really helps advertisers reach target audiences with a lot more precision and just eliminates wastage. So really leveraging capabilities like, apps and mobile sites, behavioral, so applying first-party and third-party mobile segments, retargeting, social, so, we walked through that, but, granular targeting based off self-reported behaviors and interests. Like, it's pretty obvious when you like BMW that potentially you enjoy driving sports cars. So if I'm Mercedes, maybe I'm going to send you an ad. Or if I'm BMW, I'm not, because you've already bought one. Or target users based on real-time and then location, obviously, is huge. So, a lot of people just think about mobile, they think just location, but there's a lot more going on there. And then again, this brings back to the real promise of what software does, is the ability to take a lot of very complex data and then apply that to delivering the right ad to the right person at the right time. From a publisher's point of view, also the ability to, give your audience a great experience when they are consuming media on your publication by delivering them great brand messaging.
Just a question on developments here from a privacy perspective.
Mm-hmm.
Are there any issues that we would need to be aware of in Canada related to this kind of data collection and really granular information about an individual and his habits and behaviors?
Yeah, I mean, as an individual publisher, I'm sure most publications have analytics on their audiences. We don't, softwares like ours don't. We are actually not actively collecting data. We're just using the data. Right, so be it a brand has certain data segments that they want to use, and so they'll import those into the platform and overlay those on their campaigns and execute. Or they'll buy third-party segments from companies that sell those types of things, like Oracle's BlueKai or Lotame or Exalate. We have over 52 different third-party data companies integrated into the platform. So it's really about applying the data that's going to most effectively drive the results that you want to drive as an advertiser. Data collection, that's really, absolutely. Like if I'm a publisher, I want to know everything I need to know about what I can and cannot use and what I can and cannot collect. Because in the end, that's all about respect for the customer. But I think most publishers are using a analytics suite or two, and they're actively collecting data on their audiences, and hopefully they're using that effectively. But yeah, I mean, you want to be careful about what you're collecting and how that's being shared and used. Absolutely. I'm not going to give advice to that because that's not really my area of expertise. But
fair enough.
It's certainly something I'd be very, very in tune with if I was a publisher. Absolutely. So something we talked about as well was like scale and location based. We've had some advertiser run some stuff, and they're like, want to target all the stores in the GTA within these 4 blocks. Well, it's probably not going to yield. Probably going to be a lot of work for a little return. But location data, and again, but it's early days. So a lot of this technology is very new. I think mobile location data is a very powerful signal that advertisers should definitely leverage. And there's things like geofencing that allows advertisers to deliver relevant ads to mobile users based on their real-time location that you can use today. Predefined zones can be built out by selecting points of interest. Examples would be coffee shop or a car dealership, and then setting a radius around that. And then when a mobile user enters a zone and then is actively using a mobile app, they can be targeted with a mobile video or display ad in real time. Right? Audience segment targeting, on the other hand, is a little bit different, but enables advertisers to reach a set of users who demonstrate a certain behavior or brand affinity. So segments are built based on a user's historical location data, the frequency at which they visit specific locations. So again, you think about someone's regular commute, Starbucks they stop at, the grocery store they go to on the way home, where they've dropped their pet off, whatever it is, right? So this provides a more accurate behavioral representation of that user. So advertisers can target predefined segments around behavior. So example, like a quick service restaurant, daily commuter, like we just talked about, et cetera. And then obviously brand affinity, if we know they're always going into an H&M, into a Target, into a McDonald's, BMW, dealership, et cetera. So geo, demo, custom segments, all those can be treated by defining a zone and targeting users who have entered into the past. So a couple different ways you can use location-based data. And then obviously there's emerging technologies like beacon, that sort of thing, that are actually on-premise, where there's customer data being collected there as well that can be used at a later date. So we talked about the mobile-first tools that you can use in a platform like ours. Now what we can do is walk through how you can sort of expand, as an advertiser, expand your mobile strategy across different screens. So cross-data targeting reaches audiences regardless of devices. So there are ways to do this. There are ways to know you on your phone, you on your work desktop, you in sit-back mode on your couch with your iPad in the evening. And there's companies that are connecting the dots at scale. So being able to scale across audience demo, geography, behavioral, actual sales, and device type. It's pretty limitless capabilities, and publishers should definitely be thinking about that as well. Desktop, mobile users offer unique advertising opportunities. I think we actually went over this one already, didn't we? Yeah, we did. We'll skip that, sorry. So the cross screen, so we have, and again, when thinking about this, as obviously TV, unless you have, crossover brands to television, or television that, crosses over into magazines, but, having all these mobile channels, seamlessly incorporate those channels and ad formats together to accomplish objectives as an advertiser, be it branding or driving performance, whatever, there's the ability to do that. Those mobile channels of social, video, display, and native. You can reach target audiences in social. You can drive awareness and performance through video. You can extend reach in a cost-effective way through display, and then you can run something contextually relevant, through native, right? So thinking strategically about how to use all those mobile channels as an advertiser and deliver your message. Those capabilities, again, exist through the use of software. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. Yeah. Again, for our company, and going back to that AOL report, about 50% of video views are on mobile. To address that fragmentation of media consumption across screens, we actually went and built products that simplify cross-screen delivery on both mobile and desktop, so make it very easy. So as we mentioned, sort of solve the operational challenge when it comes to video delivery in desktop and mobile, using a single video asset. Our platform can automatically deliver ads across video ads across mobile and desktop devices, helping reach audiences regardless of, again, where they are consuming that content. The second point would be that, we can easily extend audience segments across screens. So if you have a mobile first or third-party data segment that you want to target as an advertiser, again, you want to target, there are tools that you can use to actually, extend that audience automatically, deliver your video or display ad to that same user, whether on their desktop or on their mobile. So the same works if you're targeting a desktop audience segment. The tool will automatically deliver ads when the user is on their mobile devices. So it really enables advertisers to easily extend their reach, and obviously publishers to create, and deliver a better, more, valued and less wasteful experience to the publishers. So that comes to sort of the holy grail when it comes to advertisers sometimes is really managing reach and frequency. Delivering ads across screens obviously drives reach, and we can find users where they're consuming content, but it's always important to minimize overexposure to ads. So advertisers think about this all the time. I don't want to bombard the same person with the same ad 20 times over again. Just in the essence of time, won't get too deep into this, but I think it's important to know that cross-device frequency capping is certainly definitely important and something you can do in a mobile environment. Sort of the close before we get into a few case studies is just, I just wanted to expose this because there is the ability to really, measure and report on everything, both as an advertiser and as a publisher as well. But transparency being key, right? So really giving insights. Our platform, we have 50+ metrics down to app and site level in real time. Single dashboard, you can see everything, performance of different screens and strategies, better understand what's driving performance. So again, thinking about how software really makes things work for an advertiser. This is what it comes down to, is the ability to measure, having that, having viewability reports, gain insights into your viewability rates, your CPMs, which properties are highly viewable, and then obviously all the brand safety reporting as well. So a ton of different ways as an advertiser to measure. I think we're having some technical difficulty. Oh, there, we're back up again. But as it just for the audience to know, like, advertisers can really get very specific about things like context too. Like making sure that these 5 trusted traditional magazine publications in their digital form, they were top performers. Why? Because ads were viewable, contextually relevant, high, trusted audience, all these different things that they can measure and hopefully then spend more money with those advertisers. One of the things programmatic allows you to do pretty effectively as well is test different types of inventory, right, and find out which ones are going to perform better for your different offers. And again, at price points that publishers set, not at ones that are just dictated by an auction. So we have about 7 minutes left. There's about 3 case studies we can look at here, and some of the we just sort of took a cross section of a few just to give some examples about how some mobile advertisers were approaching it. This one is obviously a quick service restaurant. So this was Quiznos, sort of went through some organizational changes back in 2004. They decided to adopt more of an audience-first approach, and they decided to do that by developing a series of visual parody videos, and they were looking for ways to distribute those effectively. Challenge for them was finding that millennial audience that they needed to connect with. And so Quiznos knew exactly what they needed to do. They needed to go mobile. They wanted to go to their smartphones. So they decided to approach it, have an always-on approach. Over a 5-month stretch, they leveraged both video and display formats on multiple premium. The key there is multiple premium inventory sources across both desktop and mobile devices. As well, they used data, so they partnered with a company called Ninth Decimal, cross-device technology. They wanted to have a deeper understanding of what their approaches actually drove in-store visits. So this is obviously about attribution. So Ninth Decimal analyzed the consumer's physical world behavior at more than 680 locations across the United States to compare visitation patterns of those exposed to ads versus and otherwise identical unexposed control groups. So pretty interesting test they did. Results were phenomenal, 40% in-store visits post-mobile ad exposure. They had an overall 29% lift, as well as 21% incremental visitors. So you could say it was a success, and they have not slowed down from leveraging mobile as part of their media mix. Second case study was just around creative. So this one was was an entertainment client. They wanted just to drive tune in. They partnered with our creative team to build a customizable full-screen vertical ad. The goal, again, was to develop a unique mobile experience that drives engagement on the ad campaign. We were able to show this ad. It was very cool, very interactive. The creative team developed a vertical ad unit, provide users an ultimate mobile experience that was customized to render and play in full screen, in-app environment, mimicking the experience that had been sort of popularized by social video and appealed to the wide audience across the industry. So they saw a lift of 9.2% when it came to their engagement rate. And then finally, we also saw that mobile ad creative performs in driving lift in brand recall. So with this case study, it lifted the click-through rate and conversion of a campaign. So this was a leading hair company. It launched its first multimedia ad campaign, included a digital film series aimed to inspire, celebrate, and empower women. The brand wanted, one, to drive viewer engagement using click-through rates as KPI, and two, they partnered with a video platform that has innovative creative executions and discover the most effective ad format on driving clicks. The solution that we helped them execute against, the brand developed a cross-screen campaign strategy that included desktop, mobile, and social video ads. In addition, the brand also leveraged the mobile ad extender format, a new execution that we actually developed by our in-house innovation team. The result was the mobile ad extender actually, so we innovated, we did something creative, we thought was a little more than what was needed, and outperformed the desktop and social placements, and actually lifted the overall campaign click-through rate by 43 times. So helped increase viewership of the brand's digital film series. So just a few case studies highlighting, again, some strategic decisions made by brands to leverage mobile to do different things. So just wanted to finish with, and based off all that is like, it's really, when it comes to mobile, it's a real great opportunity to deepen an understanding of your mobile audience, and it's using surveys as well. So platforms like ours also allow you, because you can reach so many audiences at scale, the ability to very cost-effectively do market research, to do brand list studies, as well as to do creative testing is there, and you can do it in real time, and again, very, very, very efficiently and effectively. And I think in the mobile, and this goes to publishers as well, who are experimenting with different executions for their advertisers in the digital and mobile space. It's just it's incredibly easy way to make things work really well. Is do a ton of testing and to collect as much feedback as possible to create a really great experience, both as a publisher and for your advertisers and for your users. And with that, I think we're timed out.
Perfect. Thank you, Dana. Really appreciate you taking the time to come here and to share your expertise in this area. It's emerging, and it sounds like you're on the frontier of creative development and figuring out how to provide those solutions to solve for the fragmentation and the difficulty that is resulting from that. So,
absolutely.
I think you've given us a lot to think of in terms of where this is going, where publishers can see where their advertisers are making decisions and how they can take part in this as the trends move forward in mobile. So really, really appreciate it. Thank you.
Yeah, no problem. Yeah, I think some of the key things to remember is like advertisers are struggling just as much as publishers are, and this is all being led by this consumer behavior that is just changing, right? So I think the digital age has just started. The mobile age is even more nascent. So it's all about figuring out, and there's lots of great partners out there to work with to make it work and run good businesses and deliver great experiences.
Fabulous point to end on. Just wanted to do one more thing, which is to plug the upcoming Magazines Canada event. Register now for the next webinar, which is maximizing native content advertising for your business. So, and actually a lovely segue from today's conversation about the cross-platform applications. And would also like to say that Magnet 2017 is approaching and time to sign up. So if you haven't done so already, please go to magnet.magazinescanada.ca to register. We would be remiss if we didn't thank our funding partners who make this webinar series possible, the Ontario Media Development Corporation. If you would like more information, please be sure to visit the website magazinescanada.ca, and events@magazinescanada.ca is the email. Thank you again, everyone, and this would be available on the website tomorrow with the actual presentation and the audio as well.